now available in paperback and e-readers. Spellbound, a darker shade of black. Get your copy today at your favorite online bookseller. As I was finishing the final book in the Spinsterella trilogy, The Legendary Mad Matilda, I began to finally see the larger picture as it relates to the Goth subculture. And as I began to see the bigger picture of the Goth subculture, I finally began to understand how large and vast this subculture truly is. And when it comes down to the Goth subculture, many Goths don't understand how big the subculture truly is. Because many Goths are introverts, they are often looking inside themselves, and because they're looking inside themselves, they often see the subculture as a small thing as it relates to them and their local area. However, if you look at the Goth subculture from a larger, more panoramic perspective, you can see how the Goth subculture is a very large thing, because the Goth subculture just isn't something in one local area, it's an international subculture that pretty much covers the entire world. And Goths all over the world are expressing themselves and seeing the world from a darker perspective. And a lot of people don't really see that perspective because they've been living in their local area. And some of them, because the only place they can see other Goths is the internet, they don't see the bigger picture and the impact of the Goth subculture all over the world. As a guy who pretty much was watching Goth videos for the last 2 or 3 years, I began to see the larger picture of the subculture as I watched Goths in the US, the UK, France, Belgium, Australia, and even Muslim countries express themselves from a darker perspective and see the world from a different perspective. And as I saw the bigger picture, I began to see how large the subculture truly is and how much it has impacted people over the last 40 years. A lot of people, again, think that the subculture is just small and local, but it is an international subculture and it reaches all over the world. Moreover, when it comes down to the subculture, it started out as a music-based subculture in the UK. However, the Goth subculture has expanded and grown, and now we see Goth pretty much influencing literature, art, and other forms of media, and even in subtle ways in mainstream media. Oftentimes we look at things and in mainstream media and we don't see the influence of the Goth subculture on it. And many people don't even acknowledge how the Goth subculture had an influence on certain forms of media. And because people don't see the larger picture of the Goth subculture, oftentimes we don't acknowledge the impact of Goth on the world. And a lot of people in the subculture don't acknowledge their part in contributing something to the world. They don't see how their darker perspective had an impact on the larger part of the world. They often think that, again, Goth is a tiny thing, Goth is a local thing, when in actuality Goth is a huge thing and it's an international thing. And it's not until you step back and see that bigger picture that you can see the overall impact of the Goth subculture on the overall world. And what I'd like to see more people do is take that step back and take a look at that bigger picture, because once you take a look at the bigger picture of the Goth subculture, you will come to appreciate it the way I've come to appreciate it writing this Spinsterella trilogy. When I first started writing the Spinsterella trilogy, I was writing the story of this Matilda Crowley, who was a 40-year-old elder Goth in 2015. But as I started going into the character's backstory, going back to 1989 with the novel Spellbound and her baby bat years, and on Legendary Mad Matilda, which chronicled her time during the 1990s as a Goth, that's when I began to see the larger picture of the subculture and how it can pretty much impact someone's life. Because when you see that subculture impacting someone's life over that time span, that's when you start to see the bigger picture of the subculture. And a lot of people don't see that bigger picture of the subculture because a lot of people are close up on it. But when you take that step back, you can see that bigger picture and its impact on someone's life. And writing that character enabled me to see how deep this subculture is, how rich this subculture is, and appreciate all the light inside of all that darkness. And as I began to appreciate all that light and all that darkness, I began to see what was really truly great about the subculture besides the music, and that was all the love all those people of the subculture had for each other. Seeing that love and that passion, that's what really made me come to appreciate the goth subculture, because people all over the world, from that darker perspective, they all would come together no matter whatever situation it is, and they were pretty much united regardless of race, colors, or age. And that was a wonderful thing to see about the goth subculture overall. And that's what I really came to appreciate as I was doing the research for this Spinsterella trilogy of novels that I was working on for the last 3 or 4 years now. And that was something that really put a smile on my face to really see, watching all those YouTube videos from all those goths in the subculture and seeing that bigger picture of the subculture. And I really want more people to come to appreciate the bigger picture of the goth subculture and see how large it truly is. If you want to try the Spinsterella books that are out right now, Spellbound and Spinsterella, they are available on Amazon.com. You can purchase them by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to help me make more videos, you can click the link to my Patreon by clicking the link to the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.